Josh Bruin,
Hi.
what movie pissed you off the most?
Right, this might come to a surprise to everyone in this room, but I really like Resident Evil, and I really like the Resident Evil movies, the original
Really?
Paul W.S. Anderson ones. Like, they're all bad, but I was really invested in where that series was going, especially because in the second to last movie, it had this delicious cliffhanger where it finally brought in a bunch of iconic video game characters like Leon S. Kennedy, and it set up this excellent cliffhanger, right, where the last remnants of the human survivors with our hero Alice, played by Milla Jovovich, you've got those game characters that I mentioned, and you've even got Albert Wesker, who was the main villain of the whole series, who has joined the heroes to help them fight back against the undead on top of the White House, and it sets up this amazing final movie where that action sequence was going to play out. And then you go into Resident Evil, the final chapter, and they skip over all of that, pick up in the aftermath of the battle, kill off all of those characters off screen apart from Alice, say Wesker was never a good guy at all, he was always a bad guy, and he betrayed her again off screen, and then you start this completely different movie that is clearly inspired by Mad Max Fury Road, which was popular at the time. So it's trying to do the Mad Max gimmick, this post-apocalyptic gimmick with some of the worst actual filmmaking you've ever seen, and it all culminates in this ending that kind of retreads the original movie and kind of craps all over these iconic characters. Again, not that I was expecting much because the entire series craps on all these iconic characters. But you know when you kind of watch something and you just think, I'm a mug for Karen. It was that exact scenario. I thought of how many movies have I watched, how many literally decades of my life at this point have I spent hoping these movies would get good. And of course they didn't, and the last one wasn't even funny bad like the third one was or the fourth one was. It was just
Hello there, Ewan.
Hi.
How you doing?
Doing good.
Very good. So I've got a question for you. So, what movie pissed you off the most?
So I don't really like going into angry fan rage mode because, to be honest, I love talking about the movies that I love. I love movies. Movies are great. I don't know if anyone knows this. Movies are pretty fun. That's why I'm doing what I do. And I also don't want to talk about Star Wars anymore because even though that is a series that I've dearly loved, one of the most formative experiences, so much of what I love is wrapped up in Star Wars. And I have very fond memories of being 3 and seeing The Phantom Menace and being obsessed with Naboo and 1 Starfighters and Obi-Wan Kenobi and all that. If you flash back to like 8 years ago, I think it's 8 years ago, it's 2015, I think. Have we got the math right there? Yeah. And when Star Wars The Force Awakens was coming out, I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, we're getting more Star Wars. And I don't think I appreciated at the time the fact that having one madman's vision in George Lucas is so much of what made that series great. And to be fair, I enjoyed The Force Awakens. I loved The Last Jedi. I really enjoy Rogue One. I think Solo, a Star Wars story, is way better than it has any right to be. And of course, there have been some good things that have come out of the whole Disney arrangement. Like, some of the comics are really good, some of the books are really great. We recently had Andor. However, I've made a discovery that there is such a thing as too much Star Wars, and now I'm sick to death of Star Wars. And the film that really kind of crystallized all of this for me was Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, which I think is one of the most cowardly and just cynically crafted movies I have ever seen. A film that feels like it's designed by committee via Reddit, that it actually has any kind of artistic, authorial intent behind it, It just kind of really frustrated me and deflated me, and I could just see, rather than them making a conclusion that built upon the previous entry, they were going and stumbling and falling all over themselves to undercut what the previous movie achieved because it was unique, and a considerable portion of people online got very angry about it, and it just felt like they were acquiescing to those people, and it was really frustrating. And the movie itself is just bad. Like, it's not shot well, it's not funny, it's not entertaining, it's not got a good story. Bringing back Palpatine undermines the entire saga. That movie is a blight on that series, and I'm not usually one of those people that's like, I'm just going to pretend that this movie didn't exist because I don't like it. I genuinely have to for Star Wars to work for me. The Rise of Skywalker cannot exist. But the idea of doing more Star Wars movies after so royally fudging it over the last few years, nah, not for me.
Don't forget to subscribe to Whatculture Star Wars.
Hello, Joe.
Hello.
Hello, I've got a question for you.
What's that?
So what movie pissed you off the most?
Right, okay, this movie, it's something I've wanted to talk about for a while, actually. One of the most frustrating films I've ever seen is Under the Skin. I don't know if any of you have seen Under the Skin. It's a sort of interesting sci-fi movie. You know, beautifully directed, beautifully atmospheric, incredibly well acted, complete waste of my time. It starts off with some real interest and intrigue. You know, Scarlett Johansson is this strange obsidian alien that nicks, well, Scarlett Johansson's skin and wears it. And then is driving around in this van and abducting these guys, and is leading them into this house, which then kind of takes them under into. So it's been a long time since I've seen it. But takes them into this goo pit, which takes all the clothes off, and so do they. And then they go into this goo pit, and then they sort of get like skinned, I don't know, like everything pulled out of them, whatever's going on, they're being harvested for something that we never really quite work out, some kind of nefarious purpose, so this happens, it's like, oh, this is intriguing, what she did to that guy, and then she does that again, and then she does it again, and it's like, right, okay, we get the point, and then she picks up this other guy, and ends up actually sparing him, and I was like, oh, we're getting some character here now. She's been doing this sort of evil, in quotes, mission, and is finally having, a bit of development. I was like, oh, this is good, it's very interesting. She ends up sort of disappearing out into the woods and walking around and discovering some humanity, and then meets this guy in like a bothy, I think, and then this guy just rapes her, and it's like, okay, that's, goodness sake, she runs away from this guy, and then he accidentally like snags part of her skin and realizes that she's like an alien, she fights him off and she keeps running, and then she sort of goes and starts kind of taking this skin off, and it's like, oh, is she gonna like kind of go evil again or something, is she gonna realize that actually humanity's not worth looking out for, and then what happens, the guy just comes up behind her, pours petrol all over and sets her on fire, and she dies. Undermines absolutely everything that's gone on. Ewan looks really, really upset.
The movie proves your entire point. Like, there's not a signifies the cruelty that she dies.
Yeah, it signifies the cruelty, but she just dies. She just dies.
That's still the point.
Let her go back to her arc's gone. It doesn't matter anymore.
It still happened.
Nah,
sounds like it really got under your skin.
Yeah, it did get under my skin.
Hello. So, question for you. What movie pissed you off the most?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. The movie that pissed me off the most recently is Cats. Cats. First of all, if I can come to the conclusion that this film was just a bad idea in the first place, I don't understand how these bigwigs that actually produced it actually sat down at any point and went, this is a good idea. But all of those great talents that were in that film had months of their time taken up by this really bad film when they could have been doing something really wonderful. You just wasted their time. You wasted our time. But I think what it really is Cats on stage works. Stage, you go in knowing there's an element of suspension of disbelief. You know they're people in suits. They're dressed as cats. You know they're real people. It's for the stage. But you can go with it because it's the theatre. But when you're watching any film, no matter how far-fetched a film is, it's centered in realism. You've got to believe that it's real. So if you're watching Cats, they need to be cats, not people in suits. Because film is real. It doesn't matter if you're in space or if you're under the sea. When you're watching it, you believe that that is a real situation. I did not at any point believe that Cats was a real situation. I believed that there were people in costumes pretending to be cats.
James Corden was good though. Next question. Sorry.
Hey Gareth.
Hello.
What movie pissed you off the most?
Well, you may not know this about me, or you may know it, I don't know. But I'm a bit of a dino boy.
Big dino boy.
Big dino boy. I love my dinosaurs. Like, I grew up just adoring dinosaurs. I had dinosaur wallpaper.
Favorite dino?
I'm pretty cliche. I'm a T-Rex guy.
Oh, that's fair. I respect it.
I just like him. Big mouth, little stupid hand. Love it. So I was obsessed with Jurassic Park growing up. I remember the first time I ever watched it. Like, there was a point in my life where I could quote it word for word. I'm not as good now. There's too many movies in my head. But I loved it. And I loved Lost World. I love Jurassic Park 3. I just love them all. I adored them all.
Alan.
It's just, Alan. And it's just a good 90-minute chunk of fun, all right? I love it. I like Jurassic World. I could deal with Fallen Kingdom, all right? Because there was enough in it. Like, there was the island blows up, and then the thing at the end, the little teaser sting at the end of the dinosaurs are free. They are finally properly free amongst us. Like, think of the possibilities. We'll even show you some of the possibilities. We'll show you the T-Rex roaring at the lion. I think there was a Mosasaurus riding a wave. It was amazing. What did Jurassic World Dominion do? They teased me with all that, and give me a film about locusts.
You don't like locusts?
I'm not obsessed with locusts. I didn't come into the theatre to watch locusts. I came in the theatre to watch a Mosasaurus fight a whale. Didn't get that. No, what'd I get? I got locusts flying at children. I got some thing with claws just got little. It just wasn't what I wanted to see in my film. And I have gone back and watched. I literally watched Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom about 20 times because I was working in a cinema at the time and I was doing the 4DX and I had to watch it over and over again. I didn't get bored of it. Like, there was a few bits that were questionable, but I didn't get bored of it. I have not watched Jurassic World Dominion back because I am so upset. That is the movie. Pissed me off.